Hello, everybody. Well, Joran VanDersloot is back in the news again. He is the one that's in a Peruvian jail awaiting his trial for the murder of Stefanie Florez, and as everybody knows that he is responsible for the disappearance of Natalie Holloway in Aruba in 2005. But let me tell you the latest on Joran VanDersloot. You know, he's always, how many times he's tortured Natalie's mother with, he tried to extort money from her. You give me X amount of money, I'll tell you where her body's at. Then he says he killed her. Then he says he didn't kill her. Then he said she fell off the balcony. Then he says his dad buried her under the house. And then he said he took her back to the hotel and he never saw her again. Then he says he left her alone on the beach. And then he said she drowned. All those different stories. Well, with Stefanie Florez, he murdered her in the hotel room that they were both in together. Then first he said he didn't do it. Then he said he did do it. Then he said he wanted to take back his guilty plea because he was harassed by the police. Well, today was his trial in Peru. So they get there, and it's all over the news that he's going to plead guilty, but he's pleading guilty only to a lesser charge. And I don't remember what kind of charge they said. In other words, he was going to plead guilty to murder, but not to the point where he intended to make her suffer while he murdered her. In other words, it was an unplanned murder. It was quick. You know, that's what he was going to plead to. So they get into the courtroom, and he decides to speak. You know, he has something to say because they were saying, you know, he's going to plead guilty. And in Peru, you know, things, you know, I guess they said his sentencing could be, you know, come as quick as next week. And he could get up to 20 years is what they said. Well, so he decided to speak, and it was a 3-judge panel, 3 women. And now, instead of getting up there and pleading guilty like he was supposed to, he said he needed more time. He needed to postpone it because he needed more time to ponder his decision to plead guilty. And do you know that panel gave that extra time to him? Now, he murdered this girl in 2010, just now going to trial because he's been putting this off and putting that off. He's playing with the law. He's playing with them, a cat and mouse game. He's playing with them, and they did it. They bit right into it. This 3-judge panel should have told him, all this happened in 2010, what is your plea today? But no, they said, okay, so they put it off until, I think, mid-January. I mean, this is January, isn't it? Maybe it is mid-January, maybe January the 10th, the 14th, something. Anyway, they put it off for a little while before he has to go back. Now, when he goes back, he'll probably come up with something else. He might say, oh, well, I changed my plea. I didn't do it. I think that he's just trying to put things off as long as he can to avoid even being sentenced. Because, well, after he's done there, then I think he's going to go back to Aruba, or I don't know whether he's going back to Aruba or they're going to send him straight back to Alabama. Because he will stand trial for extortion. But that's neither here nor there. This is, you know, watching the news, they're talking about trials of the century. I mean, trials, the biggest trials of 2012. And this is going to be one of the biggest trials, they said, of 2012. Not to mean that it's going to carry on and drag on or it's even going to be televised, but, it's a long time coming. So, but I think 20 years is a short time for murdering Stefanie Florez the way that he did. Now, I had heard one time, back several months ago, that even though he is in the Peruvian jail, that he had a girlfriend that was coming to see him. She was bringing him candy, and that she had become pregnant by Joran VanDersloot. Now, that's been a while back, so she, if that was the case, she would have had that baby by now. But now they're saying that he's got another woman that sends him money and does things for him, and that she's in her 50s. She's my age. And Joran VanDersloot is just in his early 20s. He's a boy. to somebody my age. It's a boy. But how do these people get these women and these girls to fantasize about them? I don't understand it. Like Scott Peterson, everybody knows Scott Peterson killed Lacey and their unborn baby in such a horrific way. And he's in prison for that. And he's got women writing him love letters. Women that are so in love with him. What is it about a man that brutally murdered his pregnant wife that would make you think, God, I love you? That's like that movie. It's craziness. It's insanity. Drew Peterson has his set of fans. And, Drew Peterson, his wife Stacy has disappeared. His second or either his third wife, he's been charged with her murder. So, it's crazy. What is it about these men that these women find in the least bit entertaining and attractive? I guess as far as that goes, they're decent looking guys, but pretty is as pretty does. And they've done some ugly deeds. So this makes them demonic in my eyes. I would find nothing about them. I wouldn't even be able to find anything attractive about a guy in jail for petty larceny or robbing a convenience store. That's a turnoff. That's just a major turnoff for somebody to be in jail. And much less murder somebody. No, that's not attractive. Anyway. So we will wait and see what Joran VanDersloot's next movie is. Now, Elisa Baker pleaded guilty to selling prescription drugs. Elisa Baker is the woman that was charged in the murder of her stepdaughter, 10-year-old Zara Baker. Now, the strange thing about this is Elisa Baker pleaded guilty to a lesser charge of possession of drugs, which will give her 20 years. So she's going to get 20 years for the lesser charge of selling drugs, but yet she only got 18 years for murdering her stepdaughter, Zara Baker, dismembering her body, and spreading her body over 3 counties. And she got 18 years for that. So she got more time on a drug charge than she did for murdering her stepdaughter, child abuse, dismemberment of a corpse, abuse of a corpse, and then lied about it. Now, how weird is that? And then in some other state, it's not around here, I don't remember where this one's at, but they're talking about, and it's probably in California, where they always talk about the overcrowding in the prison system and blah, blah, blah. And they're talking about they could save X amount of millions of dollars a year if they released some of their prisoners. So they're talking about releasing some of the prisoners. And some of these prisoners are in there for murder. So why would you release somebody that's been in there for murder? Maybe because they've been a model citizen in there. No. Release somebody that's in there on a drug charge, maybe. They didn't kill anybody. Like I'm saying, you get more time for drugs than you do for murder. But the solution to this, if they want to save X amount of millions of dollars in the prison system, then the one thing that I think they could do is, once you're sentenced to death row, then give you 6 months to appeal and have it speedy. And then if you lose your appeal, then go ahead and set the date for execution. They've got people on death row that's been down there at 15 years, 20 years. Why are you keeping them around for? What's the point? It doesn't make any sense. And I'll tell you another thing that doesn't make any sense to me as far as the legal system goes, is all these trials where you got to wait trial, you got to get a jury, you got to do this and do this and say we got to do it fairly, when a person's going to plead guilty and admit they done it in the first place. Why do you need all of that. Why do you need to have a jury if the person's going to say I did it? You don't need one. They for a lesser charge or a higher charge or whatever, I don't know. But to me, maybe it's just because I don't have a legal mind. I don't know. I always did want to be an attorney. When I was young, I always did want to be an attorney. But that's one I don't understand. Probably because I did not go to law school. However, anyway, I guess that's all I got to rattle on about now. I started to make this video earlier, and I came back here and I sat down, and the blinds were open too much, so there was too much light on my video. So I redid everything, and then I watched the video back, and it had it had cut off the top of my head, so I had to readjust my tripod, and I did it again, and in the middle of it, my batteries died, and I said, "What the hell?" So I do have a battery charger. I charge these batteries back up. I used to buy the batteries for all my my camera and my videos and all this, but Joe gave me a battery charger and told me, "Mom, you need to buy rechargeable batteries." And he gave me some rechargeable batteries, and then I went and bought some, and they are a lifesaver because honestly, I cannot remember the last time I bought a battery, and that is a good thing because as much as I use my batteries, that is a very good thing. And here I'm getting off track, and I'm just babbling and babbling and babbling. So anyway, when Joran VanDersloot appears in court again, I will be back. And until next time, bye-bye.